Hey everyone, Lisa Salvatore here. We have a new moon this week. I always like to try to put out an energy report during the time of the new moon and the full moon because it's very cyclical, and I always find that it's just a good amount of time in between. And I just want to talk about what is going on right now. Today is Tuesday, July 6th that I'm recording this video. And tomorrow on July 7th, Mercury will actually officially be out of its shadow. It will officially be direct. But not before Mercury goes direct. It's going to do one last bump up against Neptune, the planet of confusion and illusion and deception and creativity and dreams and spirituality. So communication can definitely feel a little foggy, or understanding or clarity around specific areas or one area, that could feel a little foggy. However, on the flip side, because Mercury is about to station out of shadow, direct, officially, you could be getting a nice piece of information that will help to clarify something for you. It could be something extremely small, it could be something bigger that tells a bigger story, because remember, this is the third of 4 Mercury-Neptune squares that we will experience this year. And Mercury has been retrograde and in Gemini for a pretty decent amount of time. And so right before Mercury will officially be out of its shadow, it will do this bump up against Neptune tonight. So we will be feeling that. We are feeling it right now. Now, on Friday, July 9th, we have a beautiful new moon in the watery, emotional cardinal sign of Cancer. This is a new moon that is off of eclipse season. It feels very connected. It feels very nurturing. It feels very nourishing. Or if it doesn't, there is a need to figure out a way to get those feelings for ourselves at this time. There's so much Venus activity around this new moon, around this week. Venus, which is our planet of connection and love and what we value and what we like and what we dislike, our tastes. It's also our money and the way that we work with it, with our talents and our assets and our money. That is going to be a big theme of this week and of this new moon, because Venus is going to bump up against Saturn, Venus in Leo. When Venus is in Leo, she is very passionate. And as we all know, passion can go both ways, right? It can be really great, but it can also sometimes be a little bit too much, and it can be explosive. And Venus is in a fire sign. She's in Leo right now. And Leo's very expressive and creative. It rules the 5th house in astrology. So this is where our movement and our creativity and our pleasure and all things that are fun and expressive, that's where Venus wants to be right now. She wants to be able to express herself. She wants to be able to feel free in that expression. And if she can't, it can feel very constrictive, and she can get very reactive, because remember, she's in Leo. The lion will roar. Now, Venus is going to bump up against Saturn on Wednesday, the 7th, I believe. And the thing is with Saturn is, textbook astrology says that Saturn is bad for relationships, or I shouldn't say bad, but Saturn brings a heaviness to relationships. And I agree, but I disagree as well, because I feel like every connection, which Venus is all about, every connection needs a little bit of Saturn injected into it for longevity and for glue, because Saturn is always the glue. It's the glue that binds. Sometimes that glue is really, really stuck and can feel very, very restrictive, which is a key word for Saturn. But other times it can feel very comforting to have structure, and that is what Saturn brings in. So Saturn in Aquarius and Venus in Leo are gonna oppose each other. And so, there could be some problems in the area of our connections, or some hurt feelings, or some irritations, minor, where you're trying to work it out, but the other person doesn't want to, or you want to express how you feel and the other person's kind of blocking you. That's Saturn. Or you can say something really hurtful and things can go awry. So that is something to pay attention to, because this is such a heart-centered new moon that's coming up, and it is all about connection to self first and foremost, and connection to others. And so Venus is going to oppose Saturn, bringing in a couple of bumps, and then she's going to go on to square Uranus. And when Venus comes up with Uranus like this in a square, it produces sparks. And sometimes those sparks are of the best kind, and other times those sparks can be explosive. And the thing is with Uranus is you just really don't ever know which way it's going to go. It's kind of like the wild card. And Venus is, again, she just wants to have pleasure right now, and she just wants to be expressive and be fun and free and real and loving and connected. So this could go either way, but this is going to be a week of emotion and connection and depth of feeling, because remember, Venus is in Leo, and Leo is the sign of the heart. So it's very heart-centered, and we're in Cancer season, which is the sign of the home. It's a water sign. It is all about our feelings. You know, what makes us feel good, what nurtures us, what brings us comfort. Cancer, the word for the sign of Cancer is comfort. Cancer rules the 4th house in astrology, which is our roots, it's our lineage, it's our family of origin, and then the family that you choose in this lifetime. So there's a lot coming up to the surface right now, highly emotional time. I know everyone's feeling that. I mean, for better or worse, there's just a lot coming up. We can be brought back to the past, because Cancer season tends to do that. It brings us back to childhood. It brings us back to memories. Somebody could say something to you that just sparks you and brings you back to a time when you're 5 or 6 years old. There's a trigger there for you, or a wound that you need to work through, and you may have forgotten all about it, and then all of a sudden just one word or one story brings it all back up, brings up that emotion. And again, it's about feeling it to heal it. Cancer season tends to do that. And I want to mention that Chiron, the wounded warrior, is getting ready to station retrograde July 15th. So we're already kind of feeling that energy of wanting to heal from things, wanting to go within. Cancer the crab goes within its shell when it feels threatened or when it feels too emotional. It likes to hide its head in the sand, it scuttles sideways, you know, under the rocks, back into the water. So again, there's this element of like, you know, not wanting to necessarily go there, but at the same time feeling like it's time to go there. Because when Chiron is direct, we tend to seek solace from outside sources. So when Chiron is direct, it's like you go to the spiritual teachers, you go for Reiki, you go for acupuncture, you go to the outside for the healing. When Chiron goes retrograde, remember retrogrades bring us inward, and it's gonna happen during Cancer season, and we're already feeling it. So this brings us in. So now the healing becomes on us. And Chiron is the wounded healer, so he heals his own wounds through healing others. And so that's what this energy is promoting right now, is it's really about, you know, bringing in this awareness of feeling, dealing, and ultimately healing. That's the goal. Now, this new moon in particular has some really sweet aspects with the outer planets. Now, I'm a huge fan of the outer planets. The inner planets are, of course, very important. The sun, Mars, Venus, Mercury, the moon, all of that in a chart, in our charts, very important, very integral. They tell a big story. But the outer planets are so juicy because they bring in an element of psychic awareness. They bring in an element of subtlety, because their effects are longer lasting, because they take so long to go around the sun, and they spend so much time in each sign, and they're generational, yes, but they're placed differently throughout all of our birth charts. And as they move, they trigger certain parts of our chart, of our lives. And because again, their retrograde periods are longer, their orbits are longer, the effects of them are maybe more subtle, but they're felt deeper, they're more impactful. And this particular new moon is sextiling Uranus, which is awesome because this is like, you know, sparks of inspiration, sparks of intuition, you know, feeling like you're ready to birth in something, because Cancer is also the mother. It's the sign of birth. It's the sign of bringing in new life. And so, you know, with this energy comes this feeling of, okay, it's time to bring in something new. It's time to birth it. And with Uranus in this aspect to the new moon, it's like, boom, I got it. This is where I want to go. It brings in that inspiration. The new moon is also going to be opposing Pluto. And so again, power dynamics within our relationships, within our connections, and also where we feel, where do we give up our power? What are our boundaries? What do we need to work through? You know, erecting boundaries can be extremely difficult, and saying no, especially to family, and again, Cancer's family, so it's saying no to the people that we feel indebted to, or that we feel like we have to be a certain way because those are the confines of what we've built, and that's how they see us. But the bottom line is, this is what we're looking to release right now too. With the Cancer energy, it's like, okay, this isn't who I am anymore, and accept me for who I am, love me for who I am. That's what ultimately everybody wants at the end of the day. But when it comes to the people that know us, the longest, let's just say. Not necessarily the best, but they know that version of you from childhood. They can tend to think, they can be possessive of that image that they have of you. And it can be very difficult for them to see you otherwise. And so if you try to step out and erect some boundaries or do something different, you know, it's not okay. But that it needs to be okay for you. And that's this whole thing with Pluto and the power dynamics and, you know, rebirthing ourselves time and time again, because that's what we're here to do. If we all stay the same all the time, you know, things would just be extremely boring. And relationships constantly change. They shift and they change. And the people that love you the most should be okay with that and should be willing to accept that. But you first have to be willing to honor that and then bring that forth. And again, when I say family, like I said, this doesn't necessarily have to be like your family of origin or your, you know, the family that you're born into, but more so the family that you've created for yourself. Could of course be the family that you were born into as well. But just think of a broader picture when I say that, family. And then it's going to be, the full moon is trining Neptune. So again, here's that element of creative spark, psychic ability, intuition, impressions, picking up on the unseen, picking up on what isn't being said, because that's what Neptune is all about. It is under the surface, it's nebulous. So again, with this new moon making these aspects to the outer planets, and then with Venus kind of dancing around and doing her thing, and again, there's just this big emphasis on heart-centered connection, emotion, connecting to self, being honest about what it is that you want, what it is that you need, what it is that you love, what makes you feel good. Are you expressing yourself in your highest integrity and authenticity, or are you limiting yourself because of a view or a picture that has been painted either by others of you or of yourself, and you're afraid to break out of that mold? So this new moon will spark that feeling of, okay, I'm not that person anymore, or I need to work through this, or I need to figure out why this memory just won't quit, and you may have to dig deep and go back to 8, 9, 10 years old, maybe even before that. And that's okay, because you have to feel it to heal it. But again, overall, I do feel like this is a really positive energy. There's a lot to be learned if you're willing to do the work. I did pull a tarot card for the new moon, and I'm not surprised. I pulled the moon. Cancer, this is the card of Cancer, by the way, the card of Cancer. So Cancer, the water sign, is ruled by the moon. The moon changes signs every 2 to 2.5 days. The moon is our emotion. It is our instinctual soul, our heart, our soul. It's how we feel truly, deeply, madly, for better or worse. It's lunacy, the moon, lunar. So, you know, feelings don't always make sense. Emotions don't always make sense, but they just are. And so this is about honoring these emotions that come up within you, the surges that the energy brings in that need to be looked at. And also, again, I will say, you know, dream state. The dream state is huge right now. Things coming up subconsciously for us to look at and for us to work through. Our fears play out, especially now that Neptune is retrograde. Our fears do play out through the dream state. So it's very good to pay attention to any negative emotions that come out through the dream state, especially because it shows you a blind spot, perhaps, a potential blind spot. I hope that this has helped you take really good care of yourselves. Remember, under new moons, it's all about the new, birthing the new. You know, remember, Cancer is ruled by the moon. So this is a Cancer new moon. So this is a good one. It's very positive. Just remember to honor your needs, be clear and concise within yourself about what it is that you want, what it is that you need, what it is that you need boundaries around, or who you need to put up some boundaries with. It doesn't make you selfish. It's necessary to protect your energy, protect your peace. You are better showing up for others when you're honoring yourself. LisaSalvatore.com. My links are below. I will talk to you all real soon. Bye.